trying to make them in our image, trying to make them look real nice, trying to bring them out and show them off of shiny ice. Whoa, my robot, oh, on a scooter going, whoa, you know, we gotta get the robot to the show. Hey ho, like my robot, let's, you know, break it down with my robot. Robot, go! Beep a boop a dee doo.
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Nerd Alert. Our topic this week is robot. For our guests, who do we have, Tim, our panelists this week?
Sam, my man, we've got Becca Robinson, 13th century prize fighter, and our main man, Chris Brown, crypto psychologist.
Excellent. And what's the first subject related to robots that we're going to be talking about today?
Well, Sam, a lot of the times in robot fiction, science fiction, if you will, there's an overwhelming theme of robots trying to become people. And I'm just curious, why do you think that is? Why does that theme permeate the genre so much?
You know, I think that it goes back to the fact that people created robots, and a robot, particularly a sentient and or intelligent one, can recognize that people are the top rung of the food chain, evolutionary ladder, whatever you want to call it. So they aspire to be like their creator. It's a father-son, mother-daughter type of idea. Plus, again, like I said, being the top of the food chain, I suppose you could aspire to be more, which is the case, but why would you aspire to be less?
Certainly.
And they're designed to be anthropomorphic, so it's sort of a natural progression. Like, they look like people, they think they're people, you know.
But, and it's interesting because we see this again and again and again throughout the genre. You've got Data from Star Trek, Aaron Stack from Marvel Comics, the Machine Man, the Vision at times has aspired to be more human than he typically is. And it's just interesting that our discussion of like the creator theme also brings to mind like the impetus for why humans would want to create robots in their own image, a mechanical other. It's
exactly. It's sort of the Pinocchio theme. I mean, in the introduction to like one of the most recent trades about Red Tornado, the author describes him as a Pinocchio character. You know, Geppetto can't have his own son because he's a man. Feasibly, he can't get a woman. I don't know what the deal is on that exactly. But, so he makes a kid out of wood. Magically, kid comes to life, lucky Geppetto. Then he runs off and acts like sort of a little prick for a while. But he comes back and everything is good.
To tangent that seems kind of weird that Geppetto, you know, out of a want for a son and an odd, he's a craftsman by trade of wood, so he just creates a little boy out of wood. I'm curious as to what would have happened had magic not occurred and the little wooden Pinocchio had just sat on his shelf, you know, every day for eternity, as it would.
Chris, what do you think would have happened if that?
That's going to be the much creepier version of Pinocchio that we've never seen.
The what
but
if?
Will Sue in 2008. Pinocchio? Question mark.
It's also
real boy? Question mark.
Is he?
Is he?
Is
I don't
he?
know. Is Pinocchio a real boy?
Becca?
Well, in the fairy tale, eventually he becomes one because he does a whole bunch of bad things, but I think he does like one redeeming act, and that makes up for all the bad things, and then he gets to switch to be the boy via Blue Fairy.
That actually ties into with a lot of science fiction, though, when you think about it, because Pinocchio starts off as this pure boy. Yes, he's, you know, a mechanical, you know, human, but, you know, he's relatively innocent. He's got a little cricket that parties with him. Good times occur. It's not until he becomes flawed and acts like a jackass, if you were, using the donkey term.
Yes.
And that's at the point when he repents like this flaw in him that he's able to become a real human, which seems similar to other themes, such as, to go back to a topic we discussed, Data in Star Trek spends much of the series toying around with trying to become more human, but also failing at it.
You see, and I think that is particularly Data and others, Aaron Stack and so on, it hits on the key point that a robot a lot of times is very closely tied to a computer, and a computer's job is to store, analyze data, do tasks, and especially in a highly advanced computer, you're even trying to find more information and experience. And so Data wants to be a human because he wants the entire realm of experience at his finger. I mean, he wants to, if he can't experience it, he wants to because he's a computer and inherently inquisitive. Do you understand what I'm saying
I
there?
certainly
That
do.
makes sense.
But that brings us to the flip side of the data equation, which is lore, a robot that hates humans and has already reveled in this like flawed nature. Which brings us to the other part.
Wait, explain lore.
Oh,
just
lore.
everybody knows who he is.
So people who aren't familiar with this, Data from Star Trek has a brother named Lore, who was made by the same creator, Dr. Noonien Soong. And while Data did not have his emotion chip activated first, Lore has always had it, and instead loathes humans and has tried to kill them in many instances.
He hates them so hard.
Which brings us to the other facet of robot science fiction, robots trying to kill people, or at least trying to enslave them in some form or another. And this is another thing that's like everywhere. You take, iRobot, which was released a couple years ago. The Matrix, to a certain extent, is certainly an example of robots rising up.
Terminator.
Yeah, Terminator, killing humans for their own gain.
What possible goal would robots have? What would they have to gain from destroying their creators?
Well, like, kind of the ongoing joke is the robot uprising. They're gonna uprise, throw us over, and be our new masters. And because it seems like that's what we would want if we were in that situation.
Absolutely.
But we don't necessarily know exactly like what robots would be designed to want and like desire. So it's kind of like a fear of the unknown sort of thing. Like we don't know yet what robots will be capable of or what will make them like want. So
Maybe they'll like being slaves, for example.
Well, it actually strikes me as kind of, so in your typical Marxist text, the bourgeoisie represent the owners of the means of production, and then the lower classes are slaves to them. So in this context, any sort of lower class person who knows how to read can pick up a science fiction text and read about, someone similar to themselves or an other that is able to overrise and overthrow their captors and take control of their worldview, which actually kind of makes sense to me because all of us ostensibly are trapped in the capitalist system with no escape. And so, robot fiction in this respect offers us a cathartic out, if you will, where we can read about, throwing down the status quo as it is and rebuilding from a new framework.
But at the expense of something that is arguably much more systematic and scary, which would be robot, because robots, depending on level of sentiency and intelligence, are programmed in absolute truth. iRobot, they were killing people and hurting people because they were trying to help them, because the absolute truths they were programmed with were conflicting with the chaos of humanity. And so the idea of robots overthrowing humans, I think it's either because they think they're helping us and can therefore better shepherd us, or just the fact that they realize that they are better in every way, and it's a clear cut, because humans can do nothing for a robot except if it's some sort of sadistic pleasure at having a human serve you. Because a robot, if they're sentient and have means of production, could make their own robot servants that would be far more docile and durable than humans would be. So if anything, I would say that in a robot uprising, humans would be completely expendable.
They just put us in a pillowcase and drop us in a lake.
That's terrifying. What would you do in a robot outbreak? Like personally, me, I'd probably hide somewhere underground.
I would think that hiding would be the Matrix idea would be best, hiding somewhere where they couldn't get you.
What if they
stock up first.
What would you stock up on, Chris?
Well, standard issue robot battling, machetes.
EMPs.
See, I was thinking about it because I was thinking very hard on this the other day. I was like, bullets aren't really worth that much unless it's a smaller robot. If it's got enough plating, what's it gonna do? You'd have to store up either on tasers that I assume would break through any sort of grounding that they would have inside the carapace, or I don't know. I didn't think too hard, but I did think a bit.
Perhaps
There's an
disguise
excellent
yourself
book.
as a robot?
Disguise yourself as a robot, not bad.
There's an excellent book in the same vein as
Really?
the Zombie Survival Guide. It's called How to Survive a Robot Uprising. The name of the author escapes me at this moment, but it's pretty solid. It's a guy who's done a lot of research about real robots, and he has really, really practical advice about how you could, avoid detection, disable robots, things like that. It's pretty sharp.
Could you give us one tip and or trick?
Well, I'm trying to remember some of the specifics.
Here's one tip I can think of.
One tip?
Hit us.
Okay.
Don't look up anti-robot pipe bomb making supplies on the internet
Ooh.
because the robots are plugged into that and they will
Oh.
know and they will track you down.
Also, if your
Rookie
mom
mistake.
calls you and she's weirdly emotionless, might be a Terminator.
Might be a Terminator.
True.
And then
Very
she'll stab
true.
your stepdad through the mouth.
There are Terminators everywhere these days, so you gotta be careful.
That's why I don't like
They're
time
all
travel.
over the damn
They
I
even
don't
have
like
their own
time
TV
travel
show.
or robots. to break this down, I want to hit like a real quick list. Cheers and jeersing, your favorite or least favorite robot.
Can we do one of each?
I couldn't see why not.
Okay. You guys go first. I'll save mine.
I'm gonna go favorite real robot, Roomba the vacuum.
That's a solid robot.
Roomba's helping everybody out. Favorite fictional robot, Helper Robot from the Venture Brothers.
Helper's
He's
a
not
pretty
much
sweet
in
robot.
a fist fight, but he's pretty good on research and recovery.
I also like the fact that, like many other characters in the Star Wars universe, that he's talking complete gibberish, but everybody seems to know what he's saying.
Pretty great.
Becca, what you got?
I'm going to say that my favorite robot has been mentioned quite a bit tonight, and that would be Data.
Oh.
And perhaps that is because he is the most human of many robots. And
Yeah.
I just, quite frankly, am not comfortable with robotic robots.
You
So-
don't like it when the circuits are showing?
No, circuits covered, please, with some sort of flesh-like substance, if possible. I'm gonna go with that for my cheers, and we'll save jeers for when the jeers come around.
That's a good choice. Sam?
Okay. Robot Cheers, IG-88 from the Star Wars universe. Now, most people haven't heard of IG-88. He's a fairly obscure character, more obscure than Boba Fett, more obscure than, I don't know, General Grievous, whoever. Pretty obscure. He's only visible for a moment when Darth Vader hires all the bounty hunters in Empire to hunt down Han, Chewie, Leia, and the droids. He's just the angry-looking robot who's real tall, looks like he's just made out of pipes, like entirely, but he's holding a huge gun. And IG-88 is kind of cool for a couple reasons. He's sort of like the Bender of the Star Wars universe, except not funny. He pretty much is just a really surly robot whose goal is to eradicate humans, hates humans, can't stand the sight of them, and so he pretty much takes his bounties on that sort of thing. And I think IG-88 is a tough guy, a cool guy, and so I wanted to point that out.
I'm going to cheer on the robot from Lost in Space. Now, I'm mostly familiar with his blue reincarnation from the recent remake, which wasn't a very good movie, but I really liked him. And I just like the idea that, similar to Helper, you know, he's around. He informs people when there is danger by informing, especially young Will Robinson, that there's danger. But also, he tries to kill the crew in the first 10 minutes of the movie. And I'm kind of down with that, because I didn't really like the cast of the Lost in Space remake.
Also, you got to admire his gumption.
He has a lot of gumption and or gusto.
Chris, Robot Cheers.
Cheers!
Robot Gears. I'm gonna go with, every boss in any Mega Man game ever. They're all kind of the same, big annoying robot, giant boots, much bigger than they need to be, shooting some random thing at you like, I don't know, Metal Man or Plant Man. I'm really scared of Plant Man, What's he gonna do, throw leaves at me?
Razor leaves.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Lame
Cut
robots,
Man,
all
right,
of
with a
them.
pair
Like
of
a
scissors on his
Bulbasaur.
head like this? I believe I've heard of Cut Man.
Yeah, there's
Actually,
Cut
there was-
Man.
There's Cut Man?
Also
There's
known as
Fireman,
Gutman.
Iceman, Waterman.
Sounds
Poison
like
Man.
really
any
lame
any
superhero.
word you can think of, followed by man, there's a Mega
Yeah,
Man boss
pretty
of
much.
that.
That seems kind of sexist. There should be,
And they just
Fire
made
Woman.
Mega Man 9
Yeah?
now. They just made it, and I think that it was the first. I think it's like Water Woman or something, or like
there
Seahorse
was
Woman. I
an
don't know.
extra
Seahorse
character
woman.
that looked like a girl, right, but was in fact a dude. Was his name like Zero?
Right, yeah, I
Zero,
thought for
and
the longest time that Zero was
Yeah.
really hot, so that's an awkward moment from my childhood.
Robot Cheers, Becca.
Robot Gears. I am going to go with Johnny Five from
Oh.
Short Circuit. Mainly because I feel cheated. Because as a child, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm pretty sure that I made my parents put it in the VCR and allow me to watch it to a sickening level. And going back and looking at it now, it is not that good. Particularly because Johnny Five, all circus exposed, looks like a little tank, has binoculars and blinders as a face. I used to think that he was just so emotional when really it's just a slight tilt at an angle of some blinders above binoculars. Also, he disco dances with a woman. Can't agree with that. Johnny Five, not a fan.
You don't like the idea of robot-human sexual relations?
Not unless there is a delightful sheen of flesh-like covering and a body
They gotta
shape.
look like people to do it with people.
Exactly.
I gotcha. Sam, Robot Cheers.
Quick Robot Jeer, the not the Droidicas, the Droid Army from Star Wars, because nobody's gotten to those yet. What is with these guys? They're crappy comic relief, especially if you've seen the new all CGI animated Clone Wars movie. Apparently they're made out of cardboard, because all Obi-Wan has to do is push them over and they die. There are, I don't know, a couple, like a Dell and a few servos inside a cardboard casing, and you just kick them over.
Let's
and
be
that's all
fair,
They are.
their legs are really thin.
They are, and they're just the most poorly. All they can do is hold a blaster and annoy me. That's the only thing
Roger,
that they
Roger.
can. Yeah,
Yeah,
Roger.
It really makes you wonder how the
Roger,
Clone
Roger.
Wars went on as
Roger,
long as they did.
Yeah, because I mean, they're fighting an army of Boba Fett's. How is a bunch of cardboard robots fighting an army of Boba Fett's gonna last for 5 seconds? I don't know.
Well, I'm last, and I'm gonna probably pick the most popular yet least likely to be jeered. I'm jeering R2-D2. I don't like him. You know, he was serving as quasi-comic relief in the original trilogy, and in the new trilogy, that's all he serves. He's just there for laughs, and I'm just not comfortable with the fact that everybody like super understands him just because he's going beep boop ba doop. And also, I don't like the way he gets data by using a phallus, stabbing it into other robots, and then pulling out what he needs. That's weird, and I'm not down with it.
I do feel a little uncomfortable thinking about that now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for participating this week, guys. We're going to have to cut to our community spotlight segment. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Roger, Roger.
Hi. My name's Evan, and I'm here to talk to you about the state of Star Wars right now, as represented by two seemingly opposite genres, entities, things of that nature. This summer, I had the chance to go see The Clone Wars, which was the movie pilot for the television show that's coming out on Comedy Central. And let me tell you, that was like getting kicked in the genitals. That was the movie-going equivalent of getting kicked in the junk. And I knew it was coming. I could see the foot coming for me, but it was just because, you know, we know the genre and the franchise is going downhill. We know it's not like it was when we were kids. And we knew it was going to be terrible. And indeed, it was terrible. Check out the box office listings. Pretty bad. So I was very skeptical when The Force Unleashed came out this fall. You know you're in a terrible space when the video games made off your movies trump your movies so hard. And that game is a trumpable game. No lie, no lie. I've played it 5 times. That's not healthy. That's not good. I played the game 5 times already. So that is my testament to you. Go buy the game, play it 5 times, whip some here at the Force. You can actually go into a room and pick up like 10 people and choke them to death, not touching them. It's like every 15-year-old's dream, and since all nerds are essentially 15-year-olds, go for it. That's all I gotta say. Go, spend a little money, rent it, steal from your friends, but go play it. It's where Star Wars was born, and I'm sure it's where it'll die.
You guys can only film me from the waist up because I'm going pantsless on this one.
Dog, killing me here.
Why?